systems simultaneously. Hidden sensor arrays revealed the locations of every invisible alien ship, and in the asteroid belt, humanity's secret fleet emerged from hiding, its capabilities far beyond what should have been possible. The message was clear: humanity would not be controlled, they would not surrender their sovereignty, and they were far more dangerous than the Confederation had realized. The war that followed would reshape the galaxy. But in that moment, as the Confederation representatives reeled in shock, humanity had already achieved something unprecedented. They had said no to the inevitable. And they were just getting started. The price of freedom. The first attack came without warning. Phobos Station, humanity's primary Mars research facility, erupted in a series of explosions that lit up the Martian night. Thousands of civilians were evacuated as emergency containment fields barely held against the devastation. Hours later, similar explosions rocked mining operations in the asteroid belt. Tragic accidents, the Confederation representatives called them. This is why developing species need our guidance. Their condescension was palpable as they renewed their offers of protection, now with even stricter terms. Admiral Chen didn't sleep for 3 days, personally directing the investigation. When she finally called an emergency meeting with President Rodriguez, her expression was grim, but her eyes blazed with cold fury. "We found this in the wreckage," she said, displaying a hologram of a tiny device. "It's a quantum resonance detonator, Confederation technology, but not from any of their official member species. It came from the Nexus, their secret enforcement arm." Dr. Okoye leaned forward, his fingers steepled. "The same group responsible for the accidents that befell other resistant species." "Exactly," Chen confirmed. "But they made a crucial mistake. They assumed our technology was as primitive as we'd led them to believe. The containment fields at Phobos weren't just holding back explosions. They were collecting data. We now have proof of their involvement." President Rodriguez's face hardened. "Can we go public with this?" "Better," Chen smiled, though there was no warmth in it. "We can demonstrate exactly why they should never have underestimated us." Operation Ghost Protocol activated within hours. Across the solar system, hidden defense systems that had been masquerading as debris or defunct satellites suddenly came online. The Confederation's invisible observation ships found themselves being tracked, their supposedly undetectable movements broadcast on open channels for all to see. But humanity's real counterstroke came from an unexpected direction. Dr. Lisa Roman, head of Earth's quantum computing division, had spent years studying leaked Confederation transmissions. Now, her team launched a cyber assault that sliced through the alien security like it was tissue paper. Across Confederation space, secure databases were suddenly open to public access. The truth about their peaceful guidance was laid bare: centuries of manipulation, engineered disasters, and forced submissions. Other species began to ask uncomfortable questions about their own histories. The Confederation's response was swift and brutal. A battle fleet emerged from hyperspace near Jupiter, weapons charged. Their demands were simple: surrender immediately or face annihilation. They expected Earth to panic. Instead, humanity showed them why they should have been more careful with their threats. The Jupiter defense line, hidden within the gas giant's turbulent atmosphere, powered up. Massive gravitational projectors, far more advanced than anything the Confederation possessed, created corridors of warped space around the alien fleet. Ships worth trillions of credits found themselves trapped, unable to maneuver or escape. "You seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties." Admiral Chen's transmission was almost casual. "Perhaps we should discuss more equitable terms." The Confederation commander's response was untranslatable, but their meaning was clear. The fleet opened fire with their most powerful weapons, only to watch in horror as their energy beams curved away harmlessly, caught in the gravitational distortions. What followed wasn't really a battle. Earth's response was measured, precise, and devastating. Targeted electromagnetic pulses disabled ship after ship without destroying them. When it was over, The entire Confederation fleet hung helpless in space, their crews alive but thoroughly defeated. Now then, President Rodriguez addressed the captured fleet. Let's talk about why attempting to subjugate humanity was your worst possible choice. But even as Earth celebrated this victory, Admiral Chen knew the real conflict was just beginning. The Confederation wouldn't take this humiliation lightly. They would return with everything they had. First contact and ultimatum. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Every screen on Earth flickered simultaneously, displaying the same crystalline symbol, the mark of the Galactic Confederation. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the United Earth Defense Command Center, her dark eyes fixed on the main display as the alien transmission began. People of Earth, the message began, translated perfectly into every human language. Your species has reached a crucial developmental stage. We offer you membership in the Galactic Confederation, under our guidance and protection. The being speaking appeared almost humanoid, but with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Its eyes were too large, too knowing. Admiral Chen felt a chill run down her spine, not from the alien's appearance, but from the careful calculation she recognized in its tone. We have watched your progress, the being continued. Your potential is concerning. Your technological advancement rate exceeds safety parameters. Your biological adaptability presents unique risks. Therefore, we offer you a place among us, with certain necessary restrictions. The terms scrolled across screens worldwide. Humanity would surrender control of its military development. Earth's resources would be managed by Confederation oversight committees. Human expansion beyond the solar system would require explicit permission. All advanced research would be supervised by Confederation scientists. In return, Earth would receive protection, limited access to Confederation technology, and the right to petition for increased privileges after proving themselves sufficiently civilized, a process estimated to take several centuries. President Maya Rodriguez sat in the Oval Office, her face illuminated by multiple holographic displays showing reactions from world leaders. The Chinese premier's expression was thunderous. The Russian president seemed almost amused. The European Union representatives were already arguing amongst themselves. But it was Dr. James Okoye, Earth's leading xenobiologist, who voiced what many were thinking. This isn't an invitation, he said quietly during the emergency UN session. It's an ultimatum dressed up as a gift. In the weeks that followed, humanity learned more about their would-be benefactors. The Confederation consisted of 27 species, most far more technologically advanced than Earth. They claimed to have guided countless civilizations to peaceful integration over millions of years. But Admiral Chen's intelligence team discovered concerning patterns in the historical data the Confederation provided. Species that accepted membership without question thrived, as long as they stayed within their designated limits. Those that resisted often suffered mysterious natural disasters or technological accidents until they reconsidered. The Confederation gave Earth 30 days to accept their terms. They called it a courtesy period for internal discussion. Admiral Chen called it something else. Time to prepare. Because what the Confederation didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that humanity had not been as blind to the stars as they assumed. 20 years earlier, a classified project had detected the first signs of alien observation. Instead of panicking, Earth's leaders had made a decision that would prove historic. They would prepare in secret. Project Oracle, hidden beneath the Antarctic ice, had developed technologies that matched or exceeded much of what the Confederation displayed. The lunar defense grid, disguised as a series of research stations, could target any object in near-Earth space with devastating precision. And Operation Prometheus had seeded the asteroid belt with automated factories, quietly building a fleet that could rival anything the Confederation might send. As the deadline approached, President Rodriguez called a meeting of the World Security Council. The chamber was silent as Admiral Chen presented her final intelligence assessment. They expect us to submit, she concluded. Their entire system is built on the assumption that younger species will choose safety over sovereignty. They don't understand what they're dealing with. President Rodriguez nodded slowly. And if we refuse, they'll try to force us, Dr. Okoye interjected. Their entire ideology depends on maintaining control. A species that successfully resists would threaten their whole power structure. Then we should give them our answer now, the Chinese premier stated firmly. Show them exactly what they're dealing with. The vote was unanimous. 24 hours later, humanity gave its response to the Confederation's generous offer. No. The single word was broadcast on all Confederation frequencies, followed by a demonstration that made the alien observers' blood run cold. The entire lunar defense grid activated, targeting every cloaked Confederation observation post in the solar. In her private quarters, Chen reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Confederation was mobilizing its full military might, a force that had kept them in power for millennia. Many on Earth were arguing for a preemptive strike while they still had the advantage. But Chen saw something else in the data, something that gave her both hope and concern. Other species were watching Earth's defiance with growing interest. Centuries of resentment toward Confederation control were bubbling to the surface. The galaxy was a powder keg, and humanity had just lit the fuse. The question was, when the explosion came, would Earth survive the shockwave? Operation Defiance. The Confederation's response came in waves. First, economic warfare. Every human trading post in neutral space suddenly found their contracts canceled, their supplies cut off. Then, diplomatic isolation. Species that had shown interest in alliance with Earth were quietly threatened with consequences. But humanity had spent decades preparing for isolation. Hidden hydroponic facilities bloomed in underground caverns. Automated factories worked tirelessly in the asteroid belt. And Earth's greatest weapon, human ingenuity, continued to surprise their opponents. Dr. Raman's quantum computing team made another breakthrough. We've cracked their FTL communications encryption, she announced during a secure briefing. And we found something interesting. The Confederation isn't as united as they want everyone to believe. The data revealed deep fractures within the alien alliance. The Arcturians, masters of biotechnology, were growing increasingly frustrated with restrictions on their research. The Centaurian League, traitors at heart, chafed at the economic losses from cutting ties with Earth. And the mysterious Veil Collective, oldest of the member species, seemed to be watching Earth's defiance with disturbing interest. Admiral Chen saw an opportunity. If we can't beat them with force, she said, we'll beat them with truth. Operation Defiance launched on all frequencies, broadcasting proof of Confederation manipulation to every species in the galaxy. But this wasn't just an information war. As the messages went out, Earth unveiled its next surprise. The Prometheus fleet, humanity's secret armada, emerged from its hiding places throughout the solar system. But these weren't just warships. Each vessel carried something the Confederation feared more than any weapon: ideas. Ideas of freedom, of self-determination, of progress without chains. Leading the fleet was the flagship Phoenix, commanded by Captain Maya Patel, a veteran of the Jupiter Defense Line battle. Her orders were simple but revolutionary: offer aid to any species that wanted to break free from Confederation control. The response exceeded all expectations. Colonies on the fringes of Confederation space began declaring independence. Trade routes shifted as merchants found ways around official blockades, and in the depths of space, ships from dozens of species began gathering, not to fight Earth, but to join it. The Confederation's attempt to isolate humanity had backfired spectacularly. Instead of containing the threat, they had created a symbol of resistance that resonated across the galaxy. But the real shock came from within their own ranks. The Arcturians, emboldened by Earth's example, publicly questioned the Confederation's policies. When threatened with sanctions, they revealed their own secret: decades of suppressed medical breakthroughs that could have saved billions of lives, held back by Confederation safety protocols. The Centaurian League followed suit, releasing records of artificial resource shortages created to maintain political control. The corruption at the heart of the Confederation's power was exposed for all to see. President Rodriguez watched the chaos unfold with a mixture of hope and concern. "We're changing the galaxy," she told her advisors. "But change never comes without cost." The cost became clear when the Confederation's hardcore militarists seized control of key strategic assets. Led by the militant Craxus faction, they promised to restore order through overwhelming force. Their fleet was vast enough to crush Earth and every rebellious species simultaneously. But even this threat revealed the changing tide. As the Craxus fleet mobilized, they found their own crews divided. Younger officers, inspired by Earth's broadcasts, began questioning orders. Some ships simply disappeared from formation, their crews choosing freedom over loyalty to a corrupt system. Dr. Okoye, analyzing the situation, saw the pattern. "They're not just fighting us anymore," he observed. "They're fighting the future. Every species advances, evolves, grows. The Confederation tried to control that natural process, and now it's breaking free." In her command center, Admiral Chen received a priority transmission. The Vale Collective, oldest and most mysterious of the Confederation species, requested a private meeting. Their message was cryptic but clear. "You have proven worthy of the truth." As Chen prepared for the meeting, alerts flashed across her screens. The Craxus fleet had launched its attack. But they weren't heading for Earth. Their target was the Arcturian homeworld, a demonstration of what happened to species that dared to question Confederation authority. Humanity faced a choice: stand aside and watch another species be crushed, or risk everything to defend their new allies. It wasn't really a choice at all. All ships, battle stations. Chen's order went out across the Prometheus fleet. "We didn't come this far to watch freedom die." The galaxy was about to learn why making humanity choose between safety and justice was the Confederation's final mistake. The breaking point. The battle for the Arcturian homeworld changed everything. As the Craxus fleet bore down on the planet, they expected to find a single, defiant human fleet. Instead, they faced an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. Earth's Prometheus fleet arrived first, taking defensive positions around the Arcturian planet. They were joined by ships from the Centaurian League, their advanced energy shields glowing like artificial stars. Then came the Independents, vessels from dozens of species that had broken away from Confederation control, each bringing unique technologies and tactics. But the real surprise came from the Vale Collective. Their ships, ancient and powerful, emerged from seemingly empty space. The message they broadcast shocked everyone. "The test is complete. Humanity has proven worthy." Admiral Chen, standing aboard the diplomatic vessel Unity, finally learned the truth. The Vale Collective had created the Confederation millions of years ago as an experiment, a way to study how species might cooperate across the galaxy. But over time, the experiment had become corrupted, turning into a tool of oppression rather than cooperation. "We watched countless species accept subjugation," the Vale ambassador explained, their form shifting like liquid starlight. "They chose safety over growth, control over freedom. Humanity was different. You showed us that resistance wasn't just about fighting. It was about inspiring others to find their own strength." The Craxus commander, faced with this united opposition, tried one last desperate gambit. They offered Earth a separate peace, complete autonomy, advanced technology, even a seat on the Confederation's ruling council. All humanity had to do was stand aside and let them restore order to the galaxy. President Rodriguez's response was broadcast on all frequencies. "Humanity doesn't trade in the freedom of others. We stand with our allies." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Craxus fleet was massive, their weapons capable of shattering planets. But they faced an alliance that combined Earth's innovative tactics, Arcturian biotechnology, Centaurian shields, and weapons from a dozen other species. Captain Patel led the first strike. Her ship Phoenix, demonstrating why humanity's adaptability made them so dangerous. They had studied every species' tactics, learned from every battle, and created strategies no one had ever imagined. The Craxus found their carefully planned formations disrupted by attacks that came from impossible angles, their advanced weapons countered by defenses that shouldn't have existed. Dr. Raman's quantum computing team struck next, unleashing viruses that turned the Craxus fleet's own systems against them. Ships worth trillions of credits became useless as their computers rebelled, their crews forced to watch helplessly as their vessels powered down. But the true turning point came from an unexpected source. Deep within Craxus territory, their own people began to rebel. Inspired by Earth's example, countless beings who had lived under Confederation control for generations chose this moment to fight for their freedom. The Craxus commander, watching their forces crumble from both without and within, made one final devastating choice. They activated their doomsday weapons, devices capable of triggering supernovas, threatening to destroy entire star systems unless the rebellion stood down. In that moment of crisis, humanity showed why they had become a symbol of hope across the galaxy. Dr. Okoye's team, working with scientists from a dozen species, had already created a countermeasure. They couldn't stop the weapons, but they could contain them, creating artificial quantum barriers around the affected stars. The Craxus commander watched in disbelief as their ultimate weapons were neutralized. Their fleet was in chaos, their own people were in revolt, and the alliance they faced grew stronger by the moment. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the silence of space. You tried to force the galaxy to submit through fear. But fear isn't power, it's weakness. Real strength comes from standing together, from choosing to fight for something bigger than ourselves. As the Craxus fleet surrendered, the galaxy held its breath. The Confederation's iron grip on power had been broken. But the question that burned in everyone's minds was, what would take its place? The answer would come not from Earth, not from the Veil Collective, but from all species working together. The age of enforced unity was over. The age of chosen alliance was about to begin. Humanity's stand. In the aftermath of the Craxus surrender, representatives from every spacefaring species gathered at a neutral location, the newly constructed Unity Station, orbiting a binary star system at the galaxy's heart. It was time to build something new from the ashes of the old Confederation. Admiral Chen stood at the main observation deck, watching ships from across the galaxy arrive. Each vessel represented a different species, a different culture, a different way of seeing the universe. The diversity that the Confederation had tried to suppress now became their greatest strength. Quite a view, isn't it? Dr. Raman appeared beside her, her quantum computing tablet displaying real-time translations of the thousands of diplomatic exchanges happening simultaneously. 2 years ago, most of these species wouldn't even talk to each other. Now look at them. President Rodriguez led Earth's delegation, but she wasn't there to dominate or control. Instead, she brought a proposal that would change the fundamental nature of interstellar relations. We don't need another confederation, she told the assembled species. We need a true alliance, one where every voice matters, where progress isn't controlled but shared, where diversity is seen as strength rather than weakness. The Veil Collective, speaking publicly for the first time in millennia, supported Earth's vision. Our experiment with the Confederation failed, they admitted. We sought to guide through control, and in doing so, we stifled the very growth we hoped to nurture. Humanity showed us a better way. But not everyone was ready to embrace such radical change. Some species, particularly those who had held power under the old system, demanded stronger central authority. Others, scared by centuries of oppression, wanted to withdraw entirely from galactic politics. The debates raged for weeks. Dr. Okoye and his team worked tirelessly, helping bridge cultural gaps and find common ground between seemingly incompatible viewpoints. Captain Patel's Prometheus fleet maintained peace, preventing old rivalries from erupting into violence. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A young Arcturian scientist, working with human researchers, discovered a way to share consciousness across species. Not control, not invasion, but true understanding. For the first time, different species could directly experience each other's perspectives, feelings, and ways of thinking. The impact was profound. Ancient prejudices crumbled in the face of direct understanding. Species that had been enemies for generations found common ground. The galaxy began to see itself not as a collection of competing civilizations, but as a vast, interconnected web of life. The Galactic Alliance was born, not through force or coercion, but through choice and understanding. Each species maintained its sovereignty while contributing to the greater whole. Technology was shared, but with respect for different cultural approaches to progress. Military power was maintained for defense, but under transparent, multilateral control. Earth, having sparked this revolution, chose a surprising path. Despite offers of leadership positions and special status, humanity opted to be equal partners rather than dominant powers. We didn't fight for freedom just to become the new oppressors, President Rodriguez declared. We fought so everyone could choose their own path. Admiral Chen, watching the new alliance take shape, found herself thinking about that first contact when the Confederation had demanded Earth's submission. They had seen humanity's potential as a threat. Instead, it had become a catalyst for change that even the Veil Collective hadn't imagined possible. Years later, as ships from the Alliance explored new regions of space together, they encountered other developing civilizations. But unlike the Confederation, they didn't demand submission or offer false protection. Instead, they extended a genuine hand of friendship, sharing their story. The story of how humanity's refusal to submit had transformed fear into hope, control into cooperation, and isolation into unity. Dr. Raman, now leading the Alliance's joint scientific initiatives, often told young researchers, the Confederation thought they could control evolution, both technological and cultural. What humanity showed the galaxy was that true progress doesn't come from control. It comes from the freedom to choose, to fail, to learn, and to grow together. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The age of enforced peace was over. In its place stood something far more powerful, an alliance built on choice, understanding, and the simple truth that had started it all. That sometimes the most powerful word in any language is no. When asked if they regretted challenging the mighty Confederation, Earth's leaders would smile and say the same thing. The only thing we regret is that we didn't meet the rest of the galaxy sooner. But we're making up for lost time. And across the vastness of space, countless species look to the stars not with fear of control, but with hope for tomorrow. A tomorrow they would build together, in freedom, in understanding, and in peace.